Welcome to CV Saviour and the first in our series of resume hacks to help you write your interview-winning resume. Before we start though, did you know that a computer may make the decision about whether your resume is read by a real person or not? A lot of people don't, and this is just one of the many obstacles job seekers are up against when getting a resume together. Writing a resume is really hard, and I should know, I've written thousands of them, and every single one of them presents a new challenge for me every time I start to write one. We're going to try and make it a little easier for you though. But first things first. Before you start writing your resume, you need to understand what current market expectations are for what a great resume looks and reads like. It's also important to ask yourself exactly what are employers and recruiters looking for in a great CV. As an aside, we use CV and resume interchangeably because in the Australian job market, either is acceptable and both are understood to be the same thing. The context in which you'll be using your documents is important too, because whether you're applying for jobs online or intending using your new CV to approach the hidden job market or both, your documents will end up in an employer's database at some stage. It's also important to understand exactly how your documents are screened, as this will also help you gain an understanding of why we advise you create your documents the same way that we do. The following information is relevant to everyone applying for jobs, irrespective of the type of job you're applying for or what market you're approaching. Firstly, it's important to recognise that you potentially have 3 different audiences reading your documents, all of whom take different things from it. And because of this, your documents need to be compelling, very concise, and of course, easy to read. When you create your CV, it should cater to all 3 types of readers. The first of these is the high volume or skim readers, also known as the gatekeeper screeners. These can be recruiters who just glance over CVs to check that keywords and selection criteria are addressed. The next type of reader is a detailed reader, such as the hiring manager or the key decision maker, who like to drill down into the finer detail about results, achievements, successes, outcomes, and the value you bring as a candidate to the job. Your document also needs to be able to cope with applicant tracking systems, which are the software programs used by around 80% of organisations to assist with recruitment. These programs extract information from your documents to assist in determining if you meet the key criteria for a position, and they may actually determine if your document gets read by a real person in the first place. So your document can be understood and read by each of these audiences. We suggest you start with a number of small changes so that you can make a big impression. The first of these is the document naming convention. We generally advise that a CV document has a naming convention that ensures that it's crystal clear who you are and what you're applying for or the position you want. A simple measure, it's often overlooked, but this is a bit of a branding exercise in itself. It sends a message to the reader in the very first instance that you have the skills required for the job even before they open the document. It's a tiny subliminal message like a positioning statement. Just like in advertising, you tell someone something a few times in a few different mediums or channels and they remember it. You should aim to do this in your resume too. So when you name your document, use the naming convention, last name, first name, include the title of the advertised job, the month and the year, and make sure you rename your document for every application you send. The next consideration is your document properties. We generally try to produce documents that include keywords in your document properties. The reason for this is because some applicant tracking systems can extract metadata from documents, and if it's loaded with keywords or the job description itself, it may increase the chances of your document ranking higher in the screening process, assuming of course that applicant tracking system software has been adopted by the company you've applied to. The next little resume hack is to include hyperlinks in your document. Wherever possible, we suggest you do this in your document so that you can link to the names of previous employers, your email address, LinkedIn profile, or any other online sources of information that make reference to or substantiate claims in your CV. This works really well when documents are read on screen, as the screener can click directly on the link for further research without having to leave your document. You can also add little pop-up screen tips, such as email me here, or connect with me on LinkedIn here, or find out more about XYZ Corp here. First impressions count for a lot. The front page of your CV is really valuable real estate and is probably the most important part of your document, as this dictates how human readers frame you in their mind, make a mental classification as to your level, and importantly, decide whether to commit to reading on through the rest of your document. When you meet someone for the first time, it's said that you've got 30 seconds to make a great impression. With CVs, it's often less, particularly if a recruiter has hundreds of CVs in front of them, a limited time frame to get through them all, a yes pile, a no pile, and a maybe pile to sort them into. If your front page doesn't catch their attention, it's highly likely they just won't bother turning the page to read into further detail. It's no secret that recruiters can spend less than 6 seconds scanning a CV before deciding on whether to move on to the next one or not. Taking this into account, you should aim to get 70% of the most important information about you and your relevance to the job you are seeking on the front page of your CV. Look out for more tips and resume hacks at cvsaviour.com.au. Head on over there now and get your free CV health check.